Hello, welcome to today's live. Hope everybody's having a good week. Tomorrow will be Friday, end of the week. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about an extraordinary form of relief in immigration law that one can get, which is called the private bill. And the private bill is the Hail Mary. It's the last resort. It's the only thing left. It's the thing that you're going to do if there's no other option available, okay? That's what the private bill is. And so I'll get into a bit about what that is, how to do it, what the procedures, and then I will go back, I will scroll down, look at whatever questions you guys put, and then answer them. Of course, it has to be U.S. immigration, and I will answer them from there. So here we go. So first of all, there's different forms of relief that one can get in immigration law, okay? So a lot of times when you have these people come on and they say, well, they're not here legally, they should be sent back home, okay? It doesn't take into account all of the types of laws and procedures and statutes that are available to help people obtain legal status. Okay, that's the law. Okay, and so when people have availed themselves of that, and ultimately when it doesn't succeed level after level after level, and ultimately when one has nothing left and nowhere else to go, that's when they can try the private bill. And I'm telling you right now, the chances of winning that are very low. But in some cases where the facts fit and where the person just absolutely does not want to or can't be deported and will do anything to try to stay here, this would be an option. Okay? So first of all, what is a private bill? Okay, so a private bill is really what it says. It's when something goes forward to Congress, to the U.S. Congress, for them to enact a law that applies specifically to you. Okay? Now, I know when you're hearing that, you're going, oh my God, how's that possible? Well, that's why it's called a private bill. Okay? And instead of sending, a bill that goes through that affects everybody, this one you would send to your congressional representative with all the reasons why the private bill should be enacted. That person then does what they need to do to try to get it on the floor. And if magic happens and it goes forward and they vote on it, and if it passes, then it becomes law. It is a private bill that has become law just for you, okay? And the reasons and the procedures needed to make that happen are insanely difficult. I can't say it any more clearly than that. Let me give you an example of somebody who thought they could do it. I had an email just the other day. They go, well, they have their own business, and they basically were part of these ICE raids, that are targeting everybody under the sun who doesn't look white. And they were taken into custody. She was allowed to be bonded out. Her husband was still in, and they want to do a private bill. I mean, that was the email, right? And I had to email them back. I go, have you been in removal proceedings yet? Have you fought your case in front of the judge? Have you applied for any relief that is available in immigration court? Which, at the time I didn't even know what she might qualify for, but maybe cancellation of removal, maybe some kind of adjustment, maybe some kind of waivers, maybe registry, it all depends. And then I asked, well, if you've done all that, have you appealed to the Board of Immigration Appeals? Because you you have to you have to try to exhaust any kind of remedy that you have. So if they say they've appealed to the Board of Immigration Appeals, and assumably it was denied, I say, well, have you done a petition for review to the circuit court? And then, obviously that takes time, okay, and money and procedures. But then did they do the petition for review for whatever was denied to the Circuit Court of Appeals? And then if they come back and say, yes, that was denied, I'll go, well, did you do a motion for rehearing en banc? So you could try to get all the particular justices on that panel to come on board. And if they say they've done that, say, well, did you do a writ of certiorari to the U.S. Supreme Court? And then they may or may not say yes or no to that. Have you ever tried to format something to the U.S. Supreme Court? It is not easy. But do you see where I'm going here? They would have to have done all of that and been denied on all of that in order to have even a living chance at a private bill. Because I guarantee you, if you try to do a private bill, send it to your congressional representative, and they see that you have not exhausted every other remedy, they'll send it right back to you and go, well, you need to try this and that first. Period. Okay? That's why when I do a private bill, the first significant part is everything that's been done and everything that's been denied and why it's been denied. Okay? So that, in essence, is a private bill. And even if it were to go through, it takes a long time. Okay? But like I say, you can understand now when I say this is the Hail Mary of immigration law. Well, every now and then you never know. You might get it. You might hit it. Okay? So that's what a private bill is, and that's why it is considered an extraordinary form of relief. Law allows for it, but there's one thing the law allowing for it, and there's another thing winning. Okay, but there you go. All right. Now, let's scroll back to all the people that joined and see if we have any questions. By the way, if anybody does have any questions, now's the time to ask, because once I get to the end, it's adios, amigo. Okay, until the next time. Okay, so let's see what we have. By the way, if you want a live consultation where you want to discuss your immigration problems in front of everyone else, let me know and I'll invite you in. Okay. Well, what do we have here? Okay, I'm just scrolling down, seeing if we have any. Thank you for all the likes, everyone. Be patient. Got a lot of people that joined, but so far not a lot of questions. That's how it is sometimes. Okay. This is from Alma Hernandez. What ICE did yesterday, aren't they violating the order of the judge that said not to arrest people in California? Okay. First, let's just discuss what the order said. Okay, the order did not tell them not to arrest anyone. Okay, they do have the authority to constitutionally arrest and detain people who they, believe under probable cause should be put in removal proceedings. Okay, that is a world of difference than what they are and were doing. They were literally going to places that they thought immigrants worked. They were literally looking at the color of people's skins. And they were literally arresting and taking people with zero probable cause only because they thought that because the way they looked or because the job they did, they needed to be arrested because they were likely here illegal. Okay? That is the insane part of what they did. And the issue is that the judge said, you can't do that. We basically don't live in North Korea. We live in the United States where the Constitution still exists. even though we have basically a leader and president that doesn't like that. Okay? So that's why the court system still exists and still keeps the Constitution alive. So when ICE goes and arrests someone, they better be able to explain why they're doing it other than the color of their skin or where the person worked. Okay? I mean, it's just insane what is going on now. But the fact is that, the power that is currently in power won't be there forever. And the violations that are being committed by ICE, the constitutional violations, will ultimately come back to them, and that charges will likely be brought for violating the Constitution and people's civil rights, even though they think they can do it now without any consequences. Okay? I mean, there's been words where they've literally told people, you have no rights. Okay? And they're getting all this money to try to make as many arrests as they can. They don't care about the constitutional rights of the people they're arresting. They don't care about how they're breaking up families. They don't care about how they're violating the Constitution. What they care about is getting the bonus and the money that they're promised to make these unlawful, unconstitutional arrests. And that judge in California ordered that to stop. Okay, that's what the order was. Okay. Anyways, there's an answer to your question. Sorry, you had me going. Okay. What else do we have? That's right. Okay. See if we have any questions anymore. Well, it just scrolled all the way down. Why does it do that? Just a minute. Well, Alma Hernandez, you're putting exactly what I just said. They went to Home Depot because they thought that's where the illegal aliens would be. They looked at the color of their skins because they thought that can't possibly be legal if they don't have white skin. Okay. Let's see. Okay, well, I think we've hit the end. So, thank you for all the likes, guys. I got 1,200 likes. Should we keep it on for a minute? See if I can get up to 1,500? Let me just tell you that you have to keep fighting to protect the constitutional rights, because otherwise, as you can see, they will without impunity try to take them away and try to make it so that it looks like what they're doing is right. I never thought that our country would look like it is now. Never. Okay? But I know that there's enough lawyers, enough immigration lawyers, enough politicians, enough people that care about democracy that they're not going to just be rolling over. Like, especially give a shout out to those congressional people in Texas that left to Illinois so that there's no quorum, so that Governor Abbott cannot conspire with the president to rig the 2026 midterms. Okay? So you see, there are a lot of people that are fighting against this. And if you want to see some good speeches, look at Governor Newsom, Governor Holcomb. They're taken now, and they're fighting like we should in order to protect the democracy so that it's not rolled over like they've been trying. I think the start got a little slow because we couldn't believe it was all happening, but it is happening. And now businesses happening where the governors in these democratic states will redistrict if they have to, so that there's not an unfair advantage like is trying to be attempted in the state of Texas. Okay? All right. There we go. I've said my piece. All right. Well, everybody have a good day.